is News Talk.
Now you're welcome along to Monday evening's show. Coming up, we're going to talk to 9-time champion jockey Pat Smullin. Just over 13 months ago, March 26th to be exact, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and we sat down with him in his home this afternoon to chat about what's been, as you might imagine, an incredibly tough year to say the least for him and his family. That's on the way between 8 and 9 o'clock. Before that then, we'll have Matt Williams on the rugby. That's coming at 7:30. And Pat Nevin on the football show. Dan McDonnell and Johnny Ward in with you after 9 o'clock. 53106, the text number. We are at Off The Ball on Twitter. Richie's with us. Hello.
Hey, Joe.
And Kieran Cunningham, chief sports writer with the Irish Daily Star, is here as well. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
So just in the news, you were saying that I read Ken Early's column. I did. Like everyone, I thought it was very good.
Oh, you're allowed to mention him.
Yeah.
The fat was over.
Listen. You can't stand in the way of quality like that.
No, it wasn't very interesting.
It was very interesting. But then straight away, Kieran Cunningham did what he shouldn't do, which is dragged us right back into it. But this is the problem with Roy Keane's punditry conversation. And I just thought we had parked that somewhere yesterday. I felt that was the...
Yeah, because you talked about the paper round, didn't you? Yeah, sorry for dragging you back in. But it actually, I was just saying to Richie just before we came on that, like, Roy has a pro licence, so he'd have gone through the courses for B licence, A licence, pro licence, and there's a lot of work.
But when did he get
go into that, and you'd have to prepare a lot of modules and do written presentations and.
You believe that, do you?
But it's the same way somebody has a driving licence when they're age 73. I mean, they got it when they're in their 20s, and when driving was slightly different. And
but you never get any sense of him that he's any interest in coaching or knows a huge amount about it. Like, and you got that when he was with Ireland as well. It's always character, spirit, determination, guts.
Be the first to the ball,
tackles, getting stuck in. Like, he really is a Sam Allardyce in the way he looks. Like, Sam was actually a bit more sophisticated when he was.
There is,
he had the.
Sam gets a bum deal because of the nature of his football, but there was a bit of thought put behind.
Yeah, like his Bolton team had some, and some decent players, but Roy is very, very. He's a very black and white view of the world. Like I don't want to go over old ground because you covered a lot of it yesterday, but I don't have the kind of respect you used to have for him anymore, do you? Like, you do for his playing career.
Absolutely.
But nothing since, really. I don't really respect that. Like, he's just come back and everything he ever said he wouldn't do. And he's he strikes me doesn't like footballers, and sometimes I get that impression Graham Souness, who I think is a great pundit, but I think modern day footballers, as they would describe them, like, they always pick out Pogba. I'm sure there are people in the Liverpool dressing room who dance and take selfies and have hair gel as Roy Keane. And that was a prepared line as well. It was a prepared line. I don't like prepared lines.
I said this out in the office a couple of times. The very fact that Liverpool, the fact they've never mentioned that they're in a skincare product ad and that Roberto Firmino's and Jurgen Klopp's teeth have been done in the last 18 months is never mentioned, is testament to the fact of how good they are.
Yeah.
When you say he doesn't like footballers, he doesn't like people.
He likes some people from Cork, a couple of people from Nottingham, one man from Derry, and that's about it, really.
Well, he basically has achieved everything that Sky set out to achieve by having him on that panel, which was basically, even if the match wasn't that great and didn't settle all that much, that by God would be talking about their coverage and him since.
Yeah.
And it's the same reason, like, any panel show has somebody with a weirdly right or left wing view on. It's not necessarily to add to the debate or the gaiety of the nation. It's to generate kind of reaction, to generate text, to generate tweets.
He's always been motivated by money. That's why he had a clause in his contract that he'd be the best paid player at United. And this makes him marketable. He knows that.
There's nothing wrong with being motivated by money.
Yeah, no, there's nothing. But like he often put out the impression out there that he was above all the celebrity and, just putting out bullshit, as he called it, and throwing out your opinions. But he's in the business as well. Like, he doesn't have to do all these gigs, and he still did them when he was with Ireland. He's with Nottingham Forest now. He's still doing them. Like, he did newspaper column with the Sun when he was railing against various tabloids over the years. Like, I don't know. I don't believe. Like, he says you don't believe a word Pogba says. I don't believe much what Roy Keane says anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, and I was saying it yesterday in the paper review. I appreciate most people said Roy Keane destroyed Gary Neville in the debate, and I get all that.
Yeah.
And I can see why, because it was very hard to defend the Manchester United performance. But I made the point yesterday, I at least thought in Neville's defence, when he was talking about how you got runners off you all day, and they're coming at you in waves, and there's the number of passes and the movement that you can just get to a point where your legs sort of go. And Souness was saying, after 52 minutes, Gary.
Yeah.
But I at least thought Neville wasn't saying this was good. He wasn't saying this was the ideal. But what he was doing was providing a level of insight for those of us who have not played fullback in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And I thought that was good. Like, it's very easy to sit there, as Roy Keane did, and go, yeah, but that's not good enough. It's 2 yards, man. Whereas Neville was saying, yeah, obviously it's only 2 yards, but the fact is it happens, and the fact is it happens against this Manchester City team repeatedly. Therefore, it's more interesting to talk about the reason.
Yeah.
But Keane's kind of not interested in that.
Yeah, but it's very striking now. If you watch games from when Roy played, and it's not that long ago, in the real terms, 10, 12 years or whatever since he retired, the pace of the game now has increased dramatically, and the way the ball is fizzed around. And you only have to look at...
since you left Man United.
Yeah, you only
That's
have to...
a long time.
Yeah, okay, sorry, 15, yeah. You only have to look at the Liverpool performances last season, that the last 20 minutes they used to be out on their feet. Like, it was very striking. And one of the reasons they changed, the main reason why they changed the style of play this year, that they're more measured and more controlled. That I don't think Roy recognises the physical demands on that. Like, I thought Gary Neville was onto something there. I still think there was a couple of individual errors in those goals that they could have done better.
Of course.
But they do. City just tie you up in knots. Like, even your brain is fried playing against them.
Yeah.
Like, I actually went out yesterday when that game was on, because I thought they're going to win this 1 or 2-0, the Burnley game yesterday. And it'll just drive you mad. If you want to see this title race going down to the last day, or Liverpool winning or whatever, because I know how good, how good they are.
But I thought the reason it also really worked though as a piece of television, because, by the way, I can't believe you're making us talk about this almost a week on.
You brought it up.
No, you brought it up.
But I didn't want to talk about it.
But I guess Ken's piece today was so good, and some of the stats about how the game has changed in the last 10 years were really genuinely fascinating. Just how quick the changes happened. But I thought it was really good television, because Keane also had a point.
Yeah.
And you could argue, look, he's simplifying the game and it's suiting his persona. But it was actually a really interesting debate between two serial winners and Souness chipping in. So, like, as a piece of TV, and with the core point being debated was culture and effort, it suited Keane out of the ground. If you're a producer, you just couldn't have set the whole thing up more beautifully. It was really just great. And even get to see the dynamic between Neville and Keane was great.
Yeah, where did Sean Goater go, though? Did he eat him?
I don't
know. He got eaten by Joe Hart.
Was there like a revolving chair of the D-list?
Sean Goater was suddenly replaced by Joe Hart. For what reason? I don't know. I thought Goater was much better.
Well, he could not have been any worse, in fairness.
I was like, who's going to pop in here next?
Yeah. But that's the weird thing. They've turned it, and you hit on the kernel of a point there, in that essentially it is entertainment. And it is sport TV as light entertainment, which is weird, because the vast majority of a light entertainment audience actually don't get to see it, because it's squirreled away in a sports channel, with their numbers dwindling even further year on year.
But this is a big debate now, because I see it coming now with the GAA. You see it in rugby to an extent, because rugby is so dominated by jargon that some people think, you need a mixture. Like, you need the George Hook figure from a few years ago. You need somebody throwing lines out there. And GA, like, I know...
You mean people don't get off their seats when you talk about escort lines?
Or the corridor power.
Hey, I'll not have bad words. Matt Williams beautifully explained the corridor of power one day.
But because I know, I did a piece with Declan McBennett, who's head of Sport RT now.
Yeah, I read that,
Yeah, and like, he's talked about, like, the likes of Aidan O'Rourke, who they've got on the website, I wouldn't be surprised if he's in the Sunday game, but I think they're really good pieces, but sometimes I have to read them twice, because they are very, very detailed, and you wonder about the appetite out there for that kind of analysis. Like, because it is entertainment, like, for a lot of people. Like, they just want a bit of crack afterwards. Like, that's why you had Dunphy for years. And Dunphy would have been very good on the game years ago, but he eventually got into the performance aspect of it, because they look for performers.
Totally a cohort that would still love to have Hook and Pope and McGurk still going. 100%. And I can understand it, because it definitely is entertaining. Absolutely.
It's like the Spillane Brawley thing. Like, they'll be very reluctant to break that up, because they see.
It's great TV. It's good. And in fairness to them, they're very articulate and they're intelligent and they're kind of bashing off each other. Admittedly, look, TV is, you're not totally yourself in TV. You're like 30% more. Whatever you are, like, for good TV, you're 30% more. Well, it's just more so as a pundit, I can see you're ready to go with the one-liner at me. Roy Keane's the best at everything he does, end of as a text in.
Is that from Roy?
From Eddie here, point taken on Keane, but does that mean if he offered you an hour of radio or a two-page newspaper spread, you'd turn him down?
Of course not, he's brilliant. He's one of the best interviewees in the world. And a lot of what he said on the night, as you said, Joe, was bang on. But I think the night suited him.
Totally.
Because everybody... Like in a way, it's kind of like...
This is your last Roy Keane point that you're making.
Yeah, but just to find what, like, virtually every United fan would make the same points. Like, they weren't revolutionary. It's the fact that an iconic captain was making it in very emphatic fashion. It had such a reaction.
Yeah.
But like, he pointed out things that everybody is talking about. I thought
it's true. They were basic points.
Yeah, that's it.
Lads, would the stats from Ken's piece not be identical to stats from continental leagues 10 years ago? In other words, has the Premier League simply become more European? Just a thought, maybe it's worth comparing.
Well, it definitely
Ken's
has. Like, if you look at the managers, look at the top managers.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's Rory and Drumcondra. So, I mean, I guess the other key thing that's changed in the last 10 years and has changed every decade or so is the fitness levels, in that you can now ask players to do things they couldn't do before.
Yeah, the naked eye tells you that. Like, they're athletes now. Like, that's why, Lukaku was highlighted yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, there are a few players that look slightly overweight. And, it really stands out now because most of them are so ripped.
So,
15 minutes about how great Van Dijk is. Is that it?
Van Dijk, in fairness, he's just amazing.
It's actually a quick one on that.
How quick?
Very quick. Now, he got the Players' Player of the Year and Raheem Sterling got the Football Writers' Footballer of the Year. What do you make of that?
I think the football writers were judging Raheem Sterling on a wider criteria.
I think so, and I think part of it is maybe a bit of guilt over the way it's been treated in the media.
Possible too. Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. I think, in my mind, Raheem Sterling's been absolutely fantastic.
He has been brilliant, but I think City would be where they are without him.
Yeah.
Liverpool wouldn't be anywhere near they are without Van Dijk. And the other one is Miguel Delaney had actually up a brilliant stat yesterday. He went through all the goals in the Premier League this year of the top
I saw this,
teams, and the most, how many points were won by goals that really matter in the sense of an equaliser or a winning goal or a lead goal.
Yeah.
And Salah was responsible for 24. Next to the list, I think, was 14.
He was miles ahead, yeah.
Sterling was either 11 or 10, and Salah wasn't even nominated for Football of the Year. Everybody's saying he hasn't had a great year. But he's leading scorer, and the goals have been really important.
One of the worst.
And also, he's one of the highest numbers of assists this year.
One of the worst things he's ever done was scoring 40 odd goals last year, because he's actually had a really good season this year, which by comparison to the numbers of last year doesn't look that great.
Yeah.
But I think Van Dijk has just been so clearly head and shoulders above everyone. He's just unbelievable. So
he could be the next James Bond as well. He's ridiculously handsome along with everything else.
I have no issue in a way with what the football writers did, because I think they're allowed to set different criteria.
Yeah, and they announced that in advance, that they do look at stuff off the pitch, and he's been brilliant off the pitch. But I do think there is a certain, because he was treated so appallingly. I think there's an element of trying to atone for that.
Quite possibly so, yeah. Now, by the way, I mentioned after 8 o'clock, Pat Smullin. We're going to play out that interview because it's part of our partnership with the Irish Blood Transfusion Service. We have our Buddy Blood Drop. If you're listening on the radio, you won't see this, but it's the mascot here. This is Buddy Blood Drop. Basically, blood donation. I've never donated blood. Just talking about this with friends the other day. They need 3,000 units of blood every week to keep up with demand. 1 in 4 of us will need a transfusion at some stage. Donation is essential. Pat Smullin, in his fight with cancer and in his surgeries, obviously needed blood donation. So it's a civic duty, really. GiveBlood.ie is where you can inquire about how to donate or get involved spreading the word by using hashtags GiveBlood or hashtag #EveryoneCounts. It's kind of scary at times how low the supply goes. I don't think we quite want to know. So it's something I guess we should all find the time to do. Hashtag GiveBlood, hashtag #EveryoneCounts. That's on the way between 8 and 9. The one stat from the weekend I wanted to mention, I think a few people have seen this. Nick Harris tweeted out. This often happens after a high-profile marathon. So, do you ever hop on the treadmill?
I've done treadmill, yeah. Okay. I never do a marathon.
No, we've all hopped on the treadmill. So, Nick Harris yesterday said, if you want to recreate or understand what Eliud Kipchoge did in the London Marathon when he ran 2 hours, 2 minutes and 38 seconds, hop on your treadmill tomorrow. In terms of the kilometre speed, they're all in kilometre speed. Put it up to 20.6 and run for 2 hours, 2 minutes and 38 seconds.
Right.
Most of us wouldn't last 3 minutes.
A second.
That's a full-on sprint. I put it up to 16 once and nearly died. I nearly went off the back of it. 20.6 for 2 hours and 2 minutes on your treadmill, and then you can have a crack at Kipchoge. And I would add in,
go on,
running on treadmill. it's doing half the work for you.
Right.
You're not pushing off the ground. Like, you just plant your foot and it does the rest for you.
But Mo Farah was quicker than that when he ran away from the questions about Gemma Aiden afterwards.
Very good. Do you see that?
I did.
Questions about the race, please.
And somebody obliged, which is, I don't know.
I know.
Somebody was saying, it was actually called any. He was saying that some people actually need quotes.
I know, but there's times when the story is bigger, and I think Colin is a brilliant journalist, but I don't agree with Colin on that one. I think there's times when this is the story is far bigger than the race and who won the race.
Well,
and you have to go with it because you don't get those windows very often to ask him anything.
If you didn't see this,
he's very rarely in the country.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it at home, basically it was Mo Farah in the kind of doorstepping area afterwards, and somebody was trying to ask him about his links with Aiden and different bits and bobs, and there was someone shouting questions about the race only, and last question, and the journalist trying to say, well, we're going to need more time. That's not good enough.
Yeah.
And then someone else asked him about the race, and off he went. And
I mean, he had his wife and kids still behind him, so he's a good guy.
did he?
Yeah. They were very much over his shoulder, yeah.
That's fine as well. No problem with that. But it was one of those awkward moments. Now, before time gets away from us, Conor Murray, it looks like it's going to be fine. Yeah, it looks like he's going to be past fit for Munster's Pro 14 quarter-final with Benetton. The neck injury that forced him to withdraw from Saturday's win over Connacht just prior to kick-off has proved to be little more than a stiffness. Keith Earls and Joey Carberry are both likely to take a full part in training tomorrow and could also return against the Italian side at Thomond Park. And head coach Johan van Graan sounded an upbeat note on the fitness of Murray. You can take it from us, he was upbeat. We'll move on. He was upbeat. Leinster head coach Leo Cullen says he's looking forward to working with Robin McBride, a coach he says he's admired for a long time. And McBride will replace John Fogarty after the All-Ireland World Cup. He spent the past 13 years, McBride has working as Wales forwards coach. Fogarty is to leave the province to succeed Greg Feek as Ireland's scrum coach. And on this morning's OTB AM, Ronan O'Gara says Fogarty will be an ideal addition to Andy Farrell's backroom team.
I won an AIL medal with Fogs and Con. So he's a good Rockwell boy. He has marbles in his mouth now that he's in Leinster. He works extremely hard. He's a diligent guy. He's hugely motivated. Sharp cookie. I think boys would really like him. I think he's got a great personality. I think he has great absorption levels in the fact that he can take in so much from what players are saying and then filter that to give his message. Very great sense of humour, and I think a hugely driven guy. And it's a proud day for his family, especially his mum from Tip. It's a lovely day.
Jeez, look at that. It's only taken O'Gara about 9-10 weeks to finally put his camera at an appropriate angle for Skype. Good on him. He's really cracked it there.
I preferred the kind of nice, lazy, relaxed angle, where he's basically angling it at the side of his couch.
On the couch, looking down at it.
Yeah, that's right.
So OTBAM, Ronan O'Gara this morning, 7:45. It's our morning breakfast show. Every weekday morning, 7:45 on all our social channels. Ronan O'Gara was on there this morning. You can watch the full interview back on YouTube. There's League of Ireland tonight.
There is indeed, and having lost on each of their last two outings, SSE Airtricity Premier Division leader Shamrock Rovers welcome St Pat's to Tallaght Stadium tonight. Kick-off there at 8. Tonight's other games kick off at 7:45 with Dundalk at the RSC to face Waterford, while third place Bohemians have Dinny Corcoran back up front as they are away to Derry. Struggling Cork City play host to rock bottom Finn Harps. Cork haven't won in any of their last 6 games, and assistant manager John Cotter hopes tonight can spark an upturn in fortunes.
Everyone knows here that it's not been good enough, to be fair, and look, we just got to. The sport has been unbelievable since we've come in, to be fair, and look, I can understand supporters' frustrations too. I'd be lying if I said otherwise. So look, we know there's a good group here. There's a lot of staff here that have been involved in the last 5-6 years. There's a good group of players, that have been brought in. So look, we know that we've got to turn it around. Players know that. We know we're under no illusions that it's not good enough, and that's all we can do. Keep working as hard as we have been, and hopefully we can get off to a good start and get 3 points.
Tonight's other game sees UCD entertain Sligo Rovers. A place has been left open in the Republic of Ireland under-17 squad for Troy Parrott. Talks are ongoing with the Strikers Club Tottenham about his potential inclusion for the European Championships. Ireland begin their Group A campaign on Friday night in Tallaght, and that is against Greece.
Can I rudely interrupt your newsround?
Of course you can.
Because I flicked through it and I'm not seeing Sinead Diver here, and I sort of think we should mention her because we're not going to get a chance to. It's just extraordinary, her story. So born in Balmonde, I think people are familiar with it. She did study PE down in Limerick, and she moved to Australia in 2002, and then she took up running, born in Balmonde, took up running just after the birth of her first child at the age of 32. She took up running at the age of 32, And on Sunday, yesterday, she finished 7th at the London Marathon. She has earned her qualification for the Tokyo Olympics.
Yeah, and she's 42 and she's a full-time job. She works in IT.
Yeah.
It's
one of the most extraordinary.
Yeah, like it's just, well, I know, like you do mention there that she took up running late, so, you know, took up serious running late. So, but it is a pity that her talent was never spotted here, because like she would be the best marathon talent.
She played
Ireland's produced it, Katrina McKiernan.
Played other sports. Like I was listening to Reardon this afternoon. He was saying like she played basketball in college and she was very active.
Yeah.
But I guess, you know, who knows? Maybe lots of people who are playing different sports could be world class athletes. And
yeah,
and that's the thing. Find the sport.
And like unless you take part in a marathon, nobody really knows if you've.
So if you're sitting on the couch out
ability
there,
to do it. So.
Imagine someone sitting on the couch who's 32 years of age and has never ran.
Yeah.
The odds on that person finishing 7th in the London Marathon and going to the Tokyo Games at 43 are 0.00001.
Yeah.
It's absolutely extraordinary. We're trying to get her on the show. She's obviously pretty busy at the moment.
Yeah, and like she's obviously been mapped the last couple of years. Like she was in Rio, wasn't she? She did well in Rio, from what I remember, and she did well at the she's been to World Championships. She's comfortably been world class for the last few years, and anybody that watched it, like for the first half of the race, like she went for it. Like she was leading for quite a while, and to finish 7th in that kind of field, where you know you've all the Africans, like it's really, really hard. Like she's absolutely class act.
Yeah.
We were debating the pronunciation of her name, but we decided it's Diver because she's a Donegal father from Gweedore. So they're all Divers, it's not Diver.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's amazing. I think she's training a bit out with Sonia O'Sullivan in Melbourne.
And Nick Bideau, her Sonia's husband. She's part of the Melbourne Track Club. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the story of the weekend. It's just extraordinary.
But it's a phenomenon with female distance runners that after having kids, they often kick on a bit. I think it's to do with different hormones that are released.
It's different blood levels as well in their body. Lizzie Lee was basically speaking at length about that to me over in Sao Paulo on the way to Rio last year, or 3 years ago, saying it's a huge thing. And there've been others recently as well. Fanula and McCormick.
There's been quite a few. And like Sonia won her Olympic silver a year after having her first kid.
I think Roy Keane was overrated. A great leader, great energy, but no Vieira or no Stevie G, says Nolan Summerhill. No, we literally don't even have time to go near that. But
he's a good player.
Blur Oasis.
Probably disagree.
Super animal.
Lads, media changing criteria to atone for unfair media is nonsense. Better for media to call out crap media, says Tom. I don't think they've changed the criteria. I think the football writers always would take in
a wider,
slightly different criteria.
Yeah, they do.
Like I think the footballers in the dressing room are voting for the lad that was the best on the pitch, where I think the football writers are looking at maybe someone's contribution away from the pitch as well. Now I think you have to have played very well, and I always think back to '99, the treble year, when the players gave Player of the Year to David Ginola.
Yeah.
And thankfully, the football writers, shout out to Nolan Summerhill, gave Player of the Year to Roy Keane, which was nothing to do with his off-the-pitch stuff. That was just purely, he's the best player this year. So it's not always like they just look for off-the-field stuff. But I think
Spurs 99 is just a weird choice, though, isn't it?
I think this year they did look at off-the-pitch stuff. But there was, like, Ginola in 99 was outrageous.
He scored that goal against Barnsley and whipped his top off, and that was class and all. But, like, in the 99 season, you surely give it to a Manchester United player.
Also, Joe interviewed him.
Take out a 20-year beef
I think that was a real season where, you know, the voting being so early in the season before the treble is won really went against that.
So basically, they watched them in the 4th round against Barnsley score that screamer and go like, should player.
I think so. I think that's why Pogba's in the team, because he was having his little spell.
Yeah, because I think they voted during the international break in March, which was around the time just after the United's run.
People who've seen Pogba's lazy. Did anybody see Anthony Martial in the warm-up for yesterday's game?
I did see that. I thought that was, like, I have no problem with that.
He's standing around doing nothing, Joe.
Who knows what his reasons are?
He's on the bench. It's not as if he's injured.
He was on the bench.
Yeah.
Well, then he doesn't need to warm up.
Yeah. Warm up.
What's the point? I've always thought this. What's the point in warming up when you're on the bench?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think it's a good point.
We'll move on that note.
And on that bombshell.
Ari Clarkson. Tottenham have confirmed that Harry Winks has undergone surgery on a groin injury. The midfielder picked up the problem during their Champions League quarter-final win over Manchester City earlier in the month. Winks' injury depletes Spurs midfield still further ahead of tomorrow night's Champions League semi-final first leg with Ajax. His manager Mauricio Pochettino remained coy on the possibility of Harry Kane returning for the second leg today.
Yes, he's doing well. He's walking, start to run a little bit inside. Yes, his rehab is so good, but we cannot create any idea of, that after we cannot achieve. I think the most important is he's good, he's in a good place, he's so focused, and we'll see what happens. We are assessing him every single day. We are happy, and we'll see.
It was a great clip. Thanks for bringing us that, Rich. Any final stories?
Jesus Christ, you're in a ratty humour there, aren't you?
Not at all.
The quarter-final lineup for the World Snooker Championships will be completed tonight. They're all born. Neil Robertson awaits the winner of tonight's meeting of John Higgins and Stuart Bingham. They've resumed level at 8 frames apiece. On the other table, Ding Junhui's resumed 9-7 up on Judd Trump. The winner of that one faces Steve Maguire. Earlier, Ali Carter and Kyron Wilson both earned their places in the last 8. Carter completing a 13-9 victory over Zhu Yulong to set up a meeting with Gary Wilson, while Kyron Wilson will face Mark Williams conqueror Dave Gilbert in the last 8. After edging out Barry Hawkins by 13 frames to 11.
Okay. Now, reminder that Off the Ball is going to be live from the Aviva Stadium this Thursday, 2nd of May. It's a Liverpool special. Guest of honour is Steve McManaman. He's going to be alongside Nathan Murphy and Kenny Cunningham. Kenny will be in studio tomorrow night as well, and Wednesday for the Champions League. The only way to enjoy it is be there on the night. Get your tickets now at offtheball.com/event. Steve McManaman, guest of honour this Thursday at the Aviva Stadium, with thanks to Boyle Sports. Kieran, thanks a million for coming in.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Richie, thanks for
very
the
naturally
newsround.
read, Joe. Well done.
Thank you, Richie. Thank you. One of the great thrills is Richie impersonating me reading scripts outside. It's really enjoyable. 6 hours of the day, every day. So up next, we have Matt Williams talking to us about the weekend's rugby, and then the full 8 to 9 hour is our interview with Pat Smullin, recorded this morning. Pat Smullin, legendary flat jockey, 9 times champion jockey, long and fruitful association with Dermot Weld, and last March 26th to be exact, he was 41 years of age, getting ready for a new season, peak of his powers, was diagnosed unexpectedly with pancreatic cancer. So it's been a hell of a year for the Smullin family. So we'll play that interview between 8 and 9. We were down at his house in Offaly this afternoon. Up next though, Matt Williams on the weekend's rugby. So it seems really the frontliners have been held back for the big games at the moment, and clearly Leinster feel that's okay, that's enough to be in the right kind of shape for Saracens.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. The weekend, apart from Munster, the Munster team, it was a bit of a mirror into the future, because there were so many good young kids playing.